The title of this video is Lucifer and Pholus, Asteroid Astrology. 2 asteroids, 1 archetype. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Georges Verbena. I'm an asteroid astrologer. So I do a lot of research on these asteroids. I have loads of videos about loads of asteroids. If you haven't checked them out and you like to know more about your asteroids, check them out on my channel. And you can check the playlist that this asteroid video also belongs to. I have a whole series. And I also have a video on Lucifer and Pholus each. This video, however, will be about the connection between these 2 asteroids and what do they actually have in common. Why are they the same, basically, just like Ceres and Demeter, Persephone and Proserpina, and Lilith and Lilith and Lilith and Lilith. Because there are literally 3 Liliths plus 1. In case you didn't know. Astrology isn't just one thing, one archetype, and that's it. No, you may be surprised to know that you can have multiple factors in astrology saying pretty much exactly the same thing, more or less. More or less. Yeah. So, with that being said, let's move on into the explanation. What is the archetype that Lucifer and Pholus represent? Now, first of all, I recommend, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you check out one of those 2 videos at least. But to briefly explain, Lucifer represents a fallen angel. Somebody who is fallen from grace because he's punished by God or some kind of authority, aka Saturn, for trying to overthrow him. He wants to come to his own insights, and he's a kind of an anarchist, you could say. He's kind of a revolutionary. Because if you research into Lucifer as an archetype, after he falls from grace, he goes to the bottom, falls to earth, he tries to rule over earth, rule over the material realm. And the material realm is governed by Venus. And Venus is also the morning star. The star of the morning is Lucifer, which is the light bringer. As a light bringer, he comes into the chart in form of a light bulb or a flashlight. He puts the flashlight onto you and tells you, look here, there's something going on, there's something fishy, I don't know what it is, but I need you to question. I need you to look into this, and if you do, and if you question, people are not going to like it. Whatever you have to say about this thing that you see, something, unfortunately, the people around you may not see. And Lucifer comes in many shapes and forms. He usually comes in the form of a fallen angel. And a good example is this one. Yeah, this is actually a depiction of Lucifer. And it's also a depiction of Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars Episode 3. Why? You may ask, why? Well, if you look at this picture and then you look at this picture, see similarity here? Maybe a little bit, I don't know, maybe you see what I'm talking about. Because Lucifer is essentially about somebody who has fallen from grace and who grieves the fall. Why? Because he stands alone in the dark. Because he embodies the dark side of the light side. Now, what does that mean? It means somebody who is aware of their dark side. Yeah, like in this picture. This is a good example as well. But there's also many other examples, like for example this one, where Anakin Skywalker, which means the one who walks in the air, and Lucifer, but it's Lucifer actually. Lucifer is also called the Prince of Air. Yeah. Why? Because he uses his mind. He uses his intelligence to question. What does he question? Well, the character Anakin Skywalker, he questions the narrative. He questions the Jedi Order. He questions Saturn. Whoever is in charge of the order, literally Jedi Order, but the structure of the realm, literally the structure of the Republic. He questions, overthrows them. He destroys the Jedi Order single-handedly because, of course, he's the Lightbringer, so... You were supposed to bring balance to the Force. You were supposed to save us. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. Remember that? From Star Wars Episode 3 when Obi-Wan, his master, told him this. So why did actually Anakin, aka Lucifer, is an archetype, overthrow, aka God, aka the Jedi Order? Well, because he was tired of the rules. You're not allowed to laugh. You're not allowed to do this. You're allowed to do that. All these rules that literally don't make any sense. Rules that suppress your humanity. Humanity. That's what it's about. Suppression of the self. What exactly? Well, Venus is the morning star. Venus is the material realm. Venus is the physical body. Venus is the lower. Feminine, actually, is dark. It's like, actually it's nocturnal. Lucifer is a nocturnal force, yet it's the dark force, literally from the dark side, right, like Darth Vader, who brings light to the universe. Unfortunately, he did that by killing everybody, but that is basically the dark side of this archetype. And that's what makes it interesting. Because, of course, it is a fallen angel. The fallen angel isn't exactly popular, but it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting because if you have this in the chart, it shows you are experiencing a fall. After, you are literally God's favorite, right? You are the chosen one. You were supposed to save us. Well, but... we don't like how you want to save us. Oh, you want to question the Jedi Order. You want to become a master. No, you cannot be a master. You could become too full of yourself. You could overthrow us. We cannot let you be arrogant, in charge, in control. Because, of course, you think you know better than us. So we need to keep you down. It's like you are a child and you go to church and everybody tells you, stay down. Don't question that we go to church every Sunday, you stupid little child. Because if you do, you might get clapped. You sinful little child, how can you be so heretical to question the order, the Saturn rulership of things, the hierarchy, the patriarchy, the control system. So, Lucifer is about overthrowing the control system, just like Lilith. So Lucifer and Lilith are good friends. They love each other. Of course, why shouldn't they marry each other, have children? I wonder what kind of children would come out of that. Actually, did you know the Lilith indeed have children with some kind of demonic fallen angel? She actually did. And according to the story, she had the fallen angel as a husband. But never mind that. Enough about this. So what you need to know. If you have Lucifer in the natal chart, people will not like you. People will not like what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're sharing. And you may not even like yourself because you will doubt yourself. Self-doubt, right? That's the issue. Why do you think was Lucifer depicted as this? Like, what is this? Why is he crying? Clearly he did what he wanted, right? He allowed his ego, so to speak, which is his lower self, to take over, right? He resisted God. He went his own way. So why is he so sad? What's the problem? The problem is he suffers from self-doubt. He's not sure of himself because for some reason the structures around him, the people around him, the authorities, they don't like him. They don't like a revolutionary. They don't like a progressive. So, like Lilith, like Lilith, it has the nature of My goodness. I disappeared. Fuck. Okay. I accidentally deleted my video capture. Please wait a second. My goodness. If this works. Okay. This actually works. So, the light was literally taken out of me. So, the problem is with Lucifer that you bring light to the darkness. But there's darkness for a reason. The powers that be do not like it when you flash the light and you question authorities. So what happens? Well, if you look into the archetype of Uranus, you also see other mythological interpretations of Uranus, like individuals that, like Uranus got castrated by Saturn. There's Prometheus, who took the fire from humanity, from the gods, the fire of knowledge from Jupiter, and he gave it to humanity. The fire, so they could come to their own conclusions, so they could be free of the rulership, of the tyranny of the gods. So of course Jupiter, aka the powers that be, didn't like that. So Prometheus was tied to a rock, and a bird would come every morning to eat his liver. So most people know this story. Whoever went into Greek mythology knows this. It's a classic mythology of a revolutionary, questions authorities, and then gets punished for it for all eternity. That's exactly what happens to Lucifer. So Prometheus, Lucifer, Uranus is very similar. It's of course not the same as Uranus, but he is called the Prince of Air. Of course he has wings, so he can fly, but it doesn't help him very much because his wings are basically taken away. People don't like it when he flies up. So he tends to stay down. He tends to fall into the dark side, just like Anakin. He joins the dark side because people don't like the light. Oh, you bring the light, we don't like it. Oh, you bring us awareness of what's going on. Sorry, but that makes us very insecure. That makes us very afraid. People don't like to question. It's like the process of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is not very comfortable. It's not very nice. It's not very love and light. But cognitive dissonance is a process everybody has to go through if you want to destroy the old and give birth to the new. A new belief system, a new identity, to be free of the tyranny of the past, the tyranny of false structures. So, with that being said, what does this have to do with Pholus? Well, if you look into Pholus and you watch my Pholus video, you know that Pholus was a centaur who played, just like Chiron, a passive role. He didn't like to get himself into trouble. He tried to avoid danger. Until eventually, he saw that when Heracles killed all the centaurs who got drunken with rage in a cave, Pholus entered the cave. It kind of reminds me of Plato's cave, where the shadows lie, right? And he gets a little bit too interested into the shadows, right? He gets a little bit too interested into the poison arrows that Heracles used to kill those other centaurs, after which Pholus, which is also half centaur, half beast, half man, half dark, half light, he takes one of the arrows, looks at it, looks at the shadow, the darkness that killed the other centaurs, and accidentally it slips on his foot, poisons him with a hydra blood that is venomous, and kills him. So Pholus dies from an accident. He has a fall from grace. He has a fall from the structure that supported him before he went into the cave, before he looked into the dark. Everything was fine when he was not looking into the dark. But once he got a little bit too close to violence, a little bit too interested, bad things happen. This is why I call Pholus the butterfly effect. It's something that happens after the first domino is touched, and suddenly you have a cascade effect of many events happening one after another over which you have no control. It's a loss of control. It's a fall from grace. It's the entering of a new land, a new dimension, a catapult, like enlightenment. It also represents the process of liquid light. Liquid light is basically what happens when you get enlightened, because you're breaking down old structures, old barriers of the mind, of the body. It's like de-armoring therapy. It's very similar to what Lilith does, actually, as a psychological principle. Because Lilith awakens the senses, electrifies, through the snake-like sting, like scorpionic kind of quality. Pholus and Lucifer, on the other hand, it's ignition. It's fiery. It's like, come on, get in, come on, do it, do it, do it. But do it a little bit too much, get a little bit too close to the sun, like, what's his name? Icarus, who got wings and then flew to the sun. Helios saw that he got too close, so he got burned. And what was once a genius, now singing Looney Tunes in the Looney Bin, falling down, died. So that's why it's quite dangerous. You're playing with fire. You're playing with the light of the sun, the light bringer, Lucifer, Pholus. If you play with Kundalini, if you play with the life force, if you play with the Christ within, Venus, love as a principle, ignition, passion. If you get a little bit too passionate, you may get drunk with it. Like a person that gets drunk with power, or addicted to sexuality or something. So that's why people say, oh, you think you're better than me, to the Lucifer person. You think you... Blah, blah, blah. So there's an arrogance theme, that's often arrogance as a problem that is associated with Lucifer. But really, if you look into the archetype itself is full of insecurities. Everybody's projecting, oh, you're so arrogant. Meanwhile, he's not arrogant. He's insecure as fuck. Pholus is a scaredy cat. Pholus is like, I can't be a beast. I can't allow my beastly side to be shown. I must not go into the cave. But then eventually, after everybody already died, after everybody already did it, okay, now I can go. And when Anakin says, no, I cannot defy the Jedi Order. I must listen to the commands, the rules, follow the rules. I hate the rules. I hate the Jedi. I hate all this nonsense. But I'm kind of scared. I wish I could just leave. I wish I could just make my own decisions. But there's self-doubt holding the person back until eventually a mentor arrives. A dark mentor. That's what happened to Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars. Palpatine, which is the Lord of the Sith, so a plutonic force, arrived to tell him, you're not really agreeing with a Jedi, are you? So why not leave them? Let me give you some reasons. Let me tempt you. So there can, of course, be a kind of temptation. How Icarus got tempted to fly to the sun. How Pholus got tempted to go into the cave. How Lucifer got tempted to try to overthrow God. So the problem is, Pholus, aka Lucifer, tries to take back control. Tries to take power. Which in itself shouldn't be a problem, right? Why wouldn't you want to be sovereign? Why don't you want to take the power back? You've been enslaved. You've been punished. You've been suppressed. I like to say Pholus keeps the lid on. Yeah, you keep the lid on. You go down, Lucifer. You can't be up. You're too much up in the head. Go down. You're too much up in the sky. You're questioning us. You're doing this. You're doing that. Blah, 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 blah. So since nobody likes this outcast, since the gods punish this figure, what happens? Well, maybe it's like there's the danger of all the boundaries are broken. You know you need to break those boundaries. You know you need to break the rules. But if you don't know why you're breaking them, if you act too quickly, if you act too impulsively, if you fall into the temptation of skipping the work, and the work requires understanding. The work requires that you doubt yourself, you question yourself, question the system, and then after careful consideration, Lord of Air, after careful analysis, after getting the knowledge, getting the enlightenment, then you take action. Lucifer can fall into the temptation of taking action too quickly, because there's a tremendous amount of pressure, like a pressure cooker. So, because if you put the lid on a planet, an aspect, a house, a sign for too long, don't be surprised if Anakin goes crazy and slaughters them all. So, don't be surprised if you go Icarus into the sun singing Looney Tunes in the loony bin. If you're dealing with Pholus or Lucifer individuals, give them some slack. They have been pressured and suppressed their entire life. Please be patient. Because we're not stupid. Lucifer is not stupid. It's literally an aspect of intelligence in the chat. But sometimes the intelligence is a little bit too much. So it needs mentoring. It needs control. It needs sophistication. That takes time. That takes work. And of course, that is the thing. That is also why you can see that Lucifer always represents a younger person. Yeah, I like to think of it like a young energy, like a page of swords. Yeah, like somebody who's so curious, so questioning, wants to know more and more, gets all the information. You're like a young prodigy. Yeah, it's like when you are a prodigy in the chart. But the prodigy, of course, the shadow of the prodigy is arrogance. The shadow of the prodigy is, well, if I'm doing so much better than everybody else, if I have such an easy time figuring this out and they are not, isn't it kind of proving that I'm better than them? Am I not the chosen one? Like you say, you're telling me that I'm better than them, right? So I must be. Yeah, of course. It's an ego thing. I mean, come on. Give them some slack. If somebody is really better than everybody else, can you really blame them for thinking that they are better? I mean, I've known many prodigies in my lifetime. And, you know, even the people around the prodigy think that the prodigy is better than everybody else. There's lots of people jealous of a Lucifer or a Pholus person. So, again, give these people some slack. Because why am I saying this? Why am I not saying punish them, teach them a lesson, narcissist? Because it kind of sounds a little bit narcissistic, right? But I'm saying this because, remember, these people got demonized. These people got punished, traumatized. Yeah, this is somebody who gets suppressed, controlled, put down over and over and over and over, demonized. Yeah, it's very similar to Lilith. So if you just reinforce the trauma by doing the same thing that the parent did to the person, you're not going to get anywhere. And this is something that I emphasize because if you have Lucifer or Pholus in the natal chart in a prominent position, conjunction a planet or an angle, you may be tempted to tell yourself, no, don't be so full of yourself, hold yourself down. But especially if you have a feminine chart, especially if you're already an introverted person, an introspective person, this is not a good advice. The right advice would be to validate you, strengthen you, strengthen your self-image, make you more confident. Because if you're confident, you will not be tempted to rise too quickly above your station. Because you know your station. So why would you overthrow the Jedi? If they already made you a master, if they already gave you all the freedom, you would never be tempted to kill them all. So, yeah, that's how I look at it, really. And if you want to understand this archetype, you can also check my Pholus and Lucifer articles. If you go on my Facebook page, you can put into the search bar Lucifer or Pholus, and you will find many pictures there, many images of the archetypal depiction, like for example this one, yeah, which is actually, it used to be my Facebook title picture, because actually, what to say, I have Sun conjunction Lucifer in less than a 0.10 degree orbit. So my Lucifer indeed is a little bit too close to the sun. So I know all about this issue, feeling like you're going crazy, because guess what, there's a very thin line between genius and madman. Frankenstein's monster, Einstein creating the nuclear bomb, Uranus as an archetype, the experience of enlightenment. And shortly after you get enlightened and you get the Kundalini awakening, you find yourself, oops, how did I get here into the mental hospital? So be careful, you're playing with fire. You're playing with phosphorus. And phosphorus is connected to Venus, Lucifer, Jesus Christ, the fire that ignites everything in the body, that makes things come online. Kind of, it dissolves the swamp, dissolves mucus in the system. It's a kind of a detoxifier of the body. It's an energizer. And of course, where there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of activity. So this can be flighty energy, restless energy. Yeah, I found in experience that when Pholus Lucifer individuals, especially if they have a conjunction with the sun, moon, or ascendant, they have a lot of fear. They have the lid on, so you're like, oh, what do I do? But then, oh, I get into an accident, tunnel vision, because I feel like I need to do something. I need to get out of my own way. So in the need to get out of your way, you're smashing everything around you. It's very destructive. You know, don't underestimate the dark attributes of this archetype. Anakin killed everybody. Anakin just a menace. Yeah, a menace. So this is why I use pictures like this, or like this, or like this. Yeah, these are my Pholus pictures. Yeah, if you channel this archetype, this is what it is. We're dealing with a devil, right? Devil trigger, I call it. Yeah, so if you trigger Lucifer by transit, if you trigger Pholus, if you trigger anything in a lunar return or a solar return chart, if you trigger an angle with this particular archetype, expect mayhem, expect destruction, expect heavy metal energy. There's many examples of this. Dark and light embodiment is trying to find balance, like Venus, like the sign of Libra. Bring balance to the force, they said, right? So you can read this also in my notes about Lucifer. I found this online. So you can read about it here also, in this one. Do you believe you are the chosen one? How can I know? I can tell you what I believe. I believe you will bring balance to the force, that you will face your demons and save the universe. So unfortunately, you know, because a prodigy is a prodigy and everybody knows he's just doing a little bit too well, there can sometimes be the wrong kind of encouragement. Yeah. So it's possible that somebody tells the person, oh, you are supposed to do this, supposed to do that. Because finally, you have a legendary figure that you see once in a lifetime, but the problem is if you encourage it a little bit too much, and if you encourage it the wrong way, a person becomes a little bit too autonomous. Too autonomous? What does that mean? You mean somebody who's completely in their ego, somebody who's completely an individual. An individual. The process of the individual is about individuation, right? Meaning making your own decisions, no longer being part of a structure, no longer being part of a Jedi order, leaving the order behind you. To bring balance to who? To what? To yourself. To yourself, yeah? To take back control over your own faculties. To be self-governing, to be free, like an angel with wings, like a fallen angel. Fallen from what? Fallen out of control, perhaps. Breaking all those boundaries, dissolving the structures. That is what it essentially does. So it represents problems in the natal chart, where you have no structure, no boundaries, nothing. Because you don't know what you're doing, you're up in the air, really. You're like, I'm scared. If I touch this, the butterfly effect, the domino, the cascade event, the cataclysm, the explosion, the brrr, too close to the sun. Fear, danger. This is kind of a thing, yeah? Self-doubt can cripple even the greatest warrior. But what's at the core of self-doubt? Fear. Fear of who? Fear of what? Well, hopefully, you don't have it in a too prominent position, but if you're like me, I have Lucifer on my sun. It's fear of yourself, yeah? You're afraid of yourself. Because you know, you're kind of a wild card, aren't you? You're kind of a rebel rouser, kind of a troublemaker, aren't you? A little devil, Kleiner Teufel, as my father used to call me, you kleiner Teufel. You're always doing trouble, always defying your father, resisting the structures, coming up with your own way, your own individuality, your own decisions, being so individualistic, so independent, but be a little bit too independent. So there needs to be a consideration, needs to be a balance of the other. Yeah? It kind of reminds me of an eccentric individual, somebody who has the nature of Aries. Yeah? And somebody who can be a little bit egotistical, but again, give them some slack, because the person is probably aware of it. They're trying to follow an instinct. It tells them, I'm not who I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to do something else. I don't know what, so try to find out. Try to find out through the doubt the better way, the better thing. Do not rush it. Take your time. And you may just bring balance to the force. And this is quite interesting, actually, because it's such an intense energy. It's such a plutonic character. It's the Prince of Air. Patience is not exactly a Pholus Lucifer strength, but the strength is self-control. Yeah, and that is exactly actually what also Anakin says in Star Wars Episode 3. He says, I'm not the Jedi that I'm supposed to be, he tells his lover Padme, because he knows he's supposed to just leave the Jedi Order, make his own decisions, go with Padme, do whatever he wants, live his own life. But he's afraid of living his own life, and he's entangled with his own self-doubt. And eventually that becomes his Verhängnis. Eventually somebody uses his shadow, uses his doubt against him, to try to convince him before he was ready to be an individual, before he was actually ready. And that is why it needs a lot of work. This is just like many archetypes. Every archetype needs shadow work. This is platonic. So this is dark. This is a dark, repressed archetype of the collective, I like to say. But anyways, I hope it explains it for you. And yeah. If you like this video, if you found this interesting and helpful, and you like to know more about these kind of asteroids, check out my asteroid series, check out my other videos about Lucifer and Pholus respectively. And if you like to see more videos like this in the future, leave a like and subscribe. And if you're interested in a personal reading, one-on-one, to learn more about yourself, about your chart, about the shadows in your chart, each different asteroid, each different aspect, how the aspects work together, and what it means for you, you can reach out to me at any given time and do one-on-one readings, one-on-one consultations. You can reach me from Messenger or email. And if you like this video, leave a like. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video.